date of June the 8th, 1991 will long be remembered as of great historical significance. This is the date that we are gathered at the final resting place of one illustrious in our Masonic history, most worshipful Brother William H. Upton, who 93 years ago served on a committee, and on that committee was Thomas M. Reed and J.E. Edmonton. But William H. Upton was the moving force, and at the annual proceedings of Grand Lodge in 1898, he, as a chairman of that committee, provided an 11-page report about the legitimacy of Prince Hall Masonry. And I would like to share with you, to set the scene, just a brief portion of that report to give you an in-depth feeling of the personality of William H. Upton. And I quote from that report: "At our last annual communication, a petition in the form of a letter addressed to the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge by Gideon S. Bailey and Con A. Rideout was referred to this committee with instructions to report in relation thereto at this time. In the letter, the writers claimed to be free and accepted Masons of African descent and members in good standing of lodges in the United States existing by authority originally derived from the Grand Lodge of England. Their communication is respectful in tone and couched in the familiar Masonic phraseology. It correctly states certain fundamental principles of Masonry which the writers deem pertinent to their prayer and breathes throughout the spirit of our institution. Its burden is comprehended in its prayer that this most worshipful Grand Lodge devise some way whereby we, the writers of the letter, are true and trusted Masons, having been regularly initiated, passed, and raised, can be brought into communication with and enjoy the fraternal confidence of the members of the craft of this state, inasmuch as the writers also urge that as African Masons, African Americans, their claim to consideration is not less than those of Egyptian and other races whom we freely recognize as brothers. There would be no impropriety in the Grand Lodges expressing what we have no doubt in this emphatic opinion of all its members, that Masonry is universal, and neither race nor color can legitimately be made a test of worthiness to share in its mysteries. But for the Grand Lodge to do this and stop here would be to give those petitioners a stone where they ask for bread. For what they really seek is recognition of the right of the bodies in which they were initiated to be made Masons. In other words, they raise the great question of legitimacy of so-called Negro Masonry in the United States." This is the end of the quote from that report. The report goes on and is available at the upon request from the Grand Lodge office. It goes on to indicate the legitimacy of origin, the validity of their charter, and the reasons why they should be recognized as legitimate Masons. At the conclusion of this report, a vote was taken and the Grand Lodge approved recognition. Following year, of course, as you will see in the program, and especially the oration deals with this, recognition was withdrawn because other grand jurisdictions neighboring the Grand Lodge of Washington were not to that point in time where they felt that we could recognize black Masons. The upshot of this matter gave rise to the feeling that Upton harbored for the rest of his life, that a grave injustice had been done and that we should have continued with this recognition. As a condition of his will, Part 7 indicates, and I quote directly, "I desire that no monument except the most simple headstone mark my grave until such a time as the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of Washington, or some other Grand Lodge now recognized by it, shall unite with some organization of those Masons commonly known as Negro Masons, or at least with representative members of some such organization, in erecting near my grave a monument to the memory of myself and late wife." And so today you see this beautiful stone that was purchased as a joint effort by the Grand Lodge of Washington and the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Washington and Territory. It was secured by very worshipful Brother F. Donald Wallstrom at our request. He had researched and found that the original headstone was from granite from the state of Vermont. He contacted the same quarry and secured this stone, on which you see paraphrased the last will and testament of William H. Upton. And the two hands united indicate that fraternal recognition has now been reestablished and will continue, for we have a hope for all time to come. You will note that the assemblage of many Masons from both the Grand Lodge of Washington and the Prince Hall Grand Lodge have assembled for a joint opening ceremony. This is a first in the history of these two lodges, where they have joined together and jointly opened their Grand Lodges to participate in this dedication of the memorial stone.
Prepared for the builder's use, we divest our hearts, minds, and consciences of all the vices and superfluities of this world, and that includes bigotry and prejudice. Amen.
Following the joint opening of the Grand Lodges at the Walla Walla Masonic Temple, the brethren proceeded to the high school staging area, approximately 2 miles away, at which time they formed under the direction of the respective Grand Marshals for the parade to the cemetery. At the cemetery, the ranks opened and the Grand Masters were escorted through the ranks, accompanied by the Grand Lodge officers of both Grand Lodges, and they made their way to the gravesite of William H. Upton and to the place where the memorial marker has been erected. They are now taking their place at the podium to begin the formal ceremony.
If any of you are in the least bit infirm, please take these seats here. That's what they're for. One of the tests for being a Mason is to be physically fit, and so we're all standing. Welcome to this memorial ceremony, ladies, gentlemen, guests, and brother Masons. We have some very important dignitaries with us today. We'd like to recognize them and hear a few words from them. The first one I'd like to call on would be our brother Mason. He's a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason. I refer to the Honorable Norman Rice, Mayor of Seattle. Where are you?
To my brothers and all of us who have gathered today on this historic occasion, each event is one step closer. Each walk and each step brings us closer to a purpose that we all believe in. And there's a commonness of this, brethren, and this brotherhood, and I'm happy to be here to march together in unison and hopefully in unity. Thank you very much.
Now we'd like to hear from Richard Nair. He is the member of the legislature in District 16.
Thank you. I was here back in the crowd. It's certainly my pleasure to welcome you to our community of Walla Walla, and this is a very notable occasion. And it was just an honor to have the opportunity to form in front of Walla Walla High School, where I spent 20 years as principal, and walk up the stage here and walk up the street, and to join with our brethren here in our community. Thank you.
There are several very noteworthy research societies in Masonry, and one of the foremost is on the Prince Hall side. It's called the Phylaxis Society. It's a research Masonic society, and the president, Brother Joseph A. Walks, is here, and we'd like to hear from him.
I'm certainly appreciative of being invited up front here to say a few words. And I want to thank the Grandmasters, both of them, for allowing me to come in from Kansas, where I came from, to fly here for this historic occasion. I thank you so very much.
We are also pleased to have with us Most Worshipful Brother Hampton Wright, the Grand Master of Prince Hall Masons of Oregon and jurisdiction. Most Worshipful Brother Wright, can we hear a few words from you?
I'm right here. Grandmaster Case and Grandmaster Lunford, it's more than an honor for me to come up and take part in this momentous ceremony. We are following the ball that you started rolling here. We're starting this ball to roll in the jurisdiction of Oregon. And I'll assure you, I will keep bouncing the ball. We have committees in place with the Grand Master Drew of the state of Idaho. We've had representation from the Grand Lodge of Montana. And I heard a few comments about the Grand Lodge of Oregon. But I will bounce the ball in all the states, and thank you very much.
Next one, I would like to recognize our two members of the Interfraternal Dialogue Committee. They have another name, but I don't recall what it is, and it really doesn't matter. It's a committee from each side, the Washington side and the Prince Hall side, who have been meeting regularly for the last 4 years, and increasingly so the last 2 years. And the first one I'd like to hear from is the chairman of our committee, Most Worshipful Brother James O. Wood.
Well, thank you very much, Grand Master, and it is a very great privilege for the last 2 years to have our structured committees in place. Most people here know, and for those who aren't aware, the result of our committee last year resulted in the recognition of each other so that we can openly call each other brethren and visit in our respective lodges. And this, of course, is a very great thrill. Now, my co-worker and the co-chairman, we're the Committee on Recognition and Conciliation. And now we're working on this committee that's involved in the dedication of this wonderful stone to the memory of a Most Worshipful Brother William H. Upton, who 92 years ago started this. It was derailed temporarily, but after that short intervening period of 92 years, we're back on track, and we're so delighted there. And of course, members of his family are present, and our Grand Master will recognize them. And now I'd like to call on my counterpart, Most Worshipful Brother James W. Davis, who is a past Grand Master of the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Washington, also the Sovereign Grand Inspector General of the Consistories of Washington of the Scottish Rite Bodies, and he will introduce the members of his cast.
Okay. Thank you. The Most Worshipful Grandmaster Case and the Most Worshipful Grandmaster Hampton and my Grandmaster, Most Worshipful Daniel Lunsford, all his brothers and beautiful sisters assembled. This, I feel, is a great day, and certainly is a great achievement on both Grand Lodge of Washington and Prince Hall Grand Lodge. I would like to share with you the members of the committee who did work for several years to get where we are today. Victor S. Baxter, our Deputy Grandmaster.
Wave your hands.
Yeah, stand up so that the camera can
Wave your hands.
We also included the Grandmasters because through them is how we did our work. Past Grandmaster Frank Russell.
Step forward, Frank, so we can see you.
Grandmaster Daniel Lunsford. James B. Salone, our Junior Grand Warden. James T. Smith, Past Master. Louis R. Solomon, Past Grandmaster. Kenneth Swanigan, Past Grandmaster now. Albert Timms, our Grand Treasurer. I believe those other ones, I don't think I've missed anyone. We think, oh, missed the wrong one. William C. Rubottom, the Senior Grand Warden. And yours truly, James W. Davis, Chairman.
And now from the Grand Lodge of Washington, and I'd like to have all of the committee men sort of move forward a little bit so that the cameras may pick you up more readily. First, Donald J. Beck, who is a past Grand Patron of the Order of Eastern Star and a past Master of my Lodge, St. Andrews. We have Most Worshipful Brother George R. Bordwick, who is a past Grand Master.
All right.
Most Worshipful Brother Mark L. Ewing is a past Grand Master and on our committee, but he's working in the truck, the video truck right now. So, but we'll be sure that that he gets his picture in the video. Also, our Grand Master served on that committee, and that's Most Worshipful Brother Sidney Case. Right Worshipful Brother George T. Leslie, our Senior Grand Warden. And George is waving to you from back of me. A Very Worshipful Brother Delbert McLeese, a past Deputy of the Grand Master in District Number 6, and he's also serving in the sound truck. William R. Miller, a past Grand Master, is on our committee, but he's serving Masonry back east on another assignment at this time and sends his regards and regrets that he cannot be present. Right Worshipful Brother Kenneth S. Robinson, the Junior Grand Warden.
All right.
There's Kenneth. Right Worshipful Brother James R. Van Ice, who for just a week or so is still a Deputy Grand Master. And the last is James A. Williams, a past Grand Master. And I don't know if Jim made it or not today, but served faithfully on our committee. And I, of course, am James Wood. Thank you, Grand Master.
We have several members of Most Worshipful Brother Upton's family descendants here today, and one of them has agreed to speak for the whole family and perhaps introduce the rest of the members. And I'd like to introduce at this time Jean Upton Williams, and we'll give you the microphone.
I'm very honored to be here today. And of course, I'm very, very proud of my grandfather and of his concern, his deep concern for equality and human rights. And I salute the Masons for recognizing this and this really quite remarkable concern, especially in view of the historical context in which he lived. Thank you very much.
All right.
My brother and my sister, it is really a good thing to have all you people here to honor the William Upton family. And it is my privilege at this time to introduce Jean Upton Williams, who just spoke. She is a granddaughter of William H. Upton. William H. Upton III, who is a grandson of William H. Upton. Terry Williams Haig, a great-granddaughter. And Wendy Williams Rom, a great-granddaughter. You know, I believe that this is the opportunity we have to honor your grandfather and great-grandfather and so on down, and make Masonry known that they live up to their reputation and their honors. And I thank you.
As Grand Master of the Prince Hall Masons for Washington and its jurisdiction, it's a pleasure for me to be here today and to represent this great fraternal organization and to fellowship with the brothers as well as the sisters of the Washington jurisdiction. Brother Case and myself are standing here, and we get a lot of the accolades for what's transpiring here today, but this has been going on for a long time, and it took a lot of people prior to us to cause this to be. Past Grand Masters from both jurisdictions. Many of you know that we had joint ventures years ago, starting with the Tacoma Dome and later in Olympia doing some other things. So we have gotten where we are today by inch. It just didn't happen overnight. But truly, since 92 years ago and with past Grand Master William A. Upton and his dream coming true today, I'm happy to be a part of it. Now, we know we have many people from the media and other places that will be writing about this occasion, but I like for them, because they have a tendency sometimes to say what they think we are doing or what we believe. I'd like to make sure it's clear. We do it because it's the right thing to do. And I'd like to share with you the measure of a man. They say the measure of a man is not the battles he has won or lost, but the cause for which he has fought. The measures of a man is not the ideas he claims to believe, but the ideas he demonstrates. The measure of a man is not the power or authority he acquires, but the ability to use his power with wisdom and his authority with humility. The measure of a man is not merely his love of life, but the dignity in which he lives it. We do this today because it's the right thing to do. Thank you very much.
All right.
At this time, I'd like to call on our grand orator, Brother Clement L. Modisette, to do his presentation at this time.
Thank you, Most Wishful Grandmaster II, my Most Wishful Grandmaster Daniel L. Lunsford, Most Wishful Grandmaster Sidney Case. Okay.
Speaking from both mics.
Past Grand Lodge officers, past Grandmasters, officers, visitors, brothers. When my Grandmaster called me aside and told me that he had a duty for me to perform was to say a few words. And then at the hall down there, Grandmaster Case told me I was to make the keynote address. And I went back and talked to my Grandmaster, and the Grandmaster told me, don't get carried away. We're operating on a short time. So with that, I will just say a few words real quickly and then let the program go on. I would like to say that it is indeed an honor for me to be here for this historical event. We are here to fulfill the request of a great man, William H. Upton, who served Masonry in its true sense of brotherly love. We are here to honor his request that white Masons and black Masons meet together as brothers in the spirit of brotherly love. We are here to lay this monument on his grave in a manner that he would feel most proud. In reading the pages of history, we find that Masonic writers describe Brother Upton as a man before his time. Why? Because in 1898, Brother Upton took a stand for racial equality in Masonry in this state, and he was rebuffed by his Masonic brothers across this great nation. Brother Upton was not ahead of his time. Masonry was out of step with Brother Upton. Today, Masonry has caught up with Brother Upton. Today, the angry ghost can now rest in peace. Now, when we say, behold how good and pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together, we can say it in its true sense. The work of Brother Upton was not in vain. His dream is now realized. His request is now fulfilled. Thank you very much.
All right.
There are two lodges that have been named after Most Worshipful Brother William H. Upton. One is located in Bremerton, Washington, and the other in Walla Walla, Washington. And I would like to recognize the masters of these two lodges. The first is Worshipful Brother Oliver Wells, Jr. He's the master of Walla Walla Lodge, William Upton Lodge, number 11. Would you raise your hand? And the other holding the banner is Worshipful Brother Gary Jones, Worshipful Master of William H. Upton Naval and Military Lodge, number 206. Now, for those who may be present here and will wonder just what is Freemasonry, Freemasonry is